so much for having us in your gorgeous studio. You work a lot with found objects and found clay and nature. Is that right?
It depends what it is and where you go. I recently went to Dorset doing fossiling with my nephews, and I think I've got some here. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Kimmeridge clay.
Oh yeah.
Collected things. I hadn't gone with that intent, but
couldn't help yourself.
It was just there, like on the beach. So
perfect. So will you grind that up, or how will you use that?
I put things like rocks in the kiln to about 940, and it breaks down all of the sort of bonds, and you can crush things up much more easily. All the ones that people send me.
Wow, Cyprus, yeah.
Some from Croatia.
Croatia.
I've got some from Ukraine and Bosnia and Vietnam and everything.
Wow.
But each one comes with a little story about why someone is sending you something, or what it means to them.
Which is amazing.
And even though like the object doesn't contain that for someone else to sort of access, it sort of contains it because it's the material.
Yeah. It's the body of the piece. And it's integral to the piece.
Like before the age of 4, we'd lived about 3 or 4 different places.
Wow.
And like that idea of not having a specific location, but other people have those.
Yeah.
Has always been interesting to me. I should probably say that both my parents are scientists, so I think that's sort of how I grew up.
And is that why you travelled so much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went where the research was.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe that's why you're like a mad scientist of the clay world. You're sort of doing all these experiments and things.
For a while, especially in London, Thames Water was digging up the road quite a lot, so it was quite a good way to access clay, and I was using the clay from the locations to then install tiles in those locations.
Yeah, so you would take the clay and then take it back there in a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nice.
But it was at a time when I was sort of investigating all the underground rivers of London, going on walks trying to trace all the routes of the rivers, and they correspond to a lot of building sites. I've done recently some marquetry. When you're making a ceramic version of something, you tend to also start playing with the original sort of materials. So when I did some weavings, clay weavings, and in order to do that, I had to learn weaving, and then I sort of got quite a lot of enjoyment out of that process.
Yeah. Being
very different from the clay process. And I've also done watercolours. I think I've got some there.
Oh, so nice.
These are made using Thames River mud.
So nice. And what's the view of?
I took a train from London to St Petersburg to go and visit a museum of soil science.
Wow.
And I took photographs of the view out of the train window the whole way. And then I decided to paint watercolour pictures of using the Thames River mud of my journey.
Yeah, so nice. Amazing.
I'm quite open. Sometimes, especially when you're younger, that feels quite scary, not having like a specific endpoint. And it took me a while to work out how to explain to other people in order to get funding for some of the things I've done.
Yeah.
That not knowing is important.
Yes.
And now I think I'm better at explaining, how I'm going to plan to get, like, what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But it being less important what the outcome possibly is.
Yeah.
That's one of the pieces I did on the River Severn. So I collected the river mud, and then I
Yeah.
made these tiled pieces that sort of replicated some of the vernacular architecture that I'd seen along the route.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the wealth of knowledge that you get through those experiments will
Yeah.
influence your work going forward. It's nice that you were able to show this work, but it's also nice that you don't do the work for show. You do it
No.
out of a genuine love and passion.
Yes.
And I think it's nice that you can share that many years later, or
Yeah.
however long you can bring that passion back out again and share it with people, even if it's sharing it with Mr. Thames Water digging up the road.
Yeah.
I think that's so nice.
This one I decided, because I had lots of little bits of leftover clay from a different project, that I would just use all the clay I had left over. Each of the twigs is press moulded from a real twig, so it has that sort of quality. But it's the sort of, I suppose, all these relationships between different places and different people just sort of being held together.
Yeah.
And that if one gets taken away or things get knocked, it has like consequences for the whole sort of connection of all of those different elements.
Yeah.
And it happens quite organically. I didn't have a particular shape in mind when I started. Just sort of a bit like den building. You sort of start with the twigs you have and what joins together.
Yeah. How long that twig is and what
Yeah.
what it lends itself to.
Yeah.
Yeah.